It's the Last Call For Plastisol, competition barely. Come discuss the field with your host Christy and Jeremy. Have a drink, kick your feet up, watch the ink, and get ready for emotion. Notice hearing what you think. Shout out, Monarch color, Blue Ridge, they're the best. Core Kim hold it down like the automatic press. BMI, they've been sticking with our team. Hey, you know that they are go-to for whenever that we need. Last call, Plastisol, last call. The last call, Plastisol, last call. Last call, Plastisol, last call. The last call, Plastisol.
Hey everybody, it's Jeremy.
And Christy from Last Call For Plastisol. And today we have Jeff from Stampinator. Stampinator Jeff. It's hard to call you anything but just Stampinator Jeff.
Hey, I'm fine with Stampinator. You know,
Stampinator, Stampinator.
It's pretty cool because all my buddies, every time we go out or if we go to a party, even people that I see occasionally, they're just like Stampinator.
Your wife uses that against you too, from what I heard.
Yeah, when she gets upset with me, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're the Stampinator."
It's a lot better than my old screen printing shop, Snatch and Run, because I would get called Snatch a lot. Take Stampinator when you got it.
This is the funny part is her graphics account they just kind of take the screen the name of the company and they shorten it. So hers was Snatch. So these people from Honduras or whatever, right? They're like, hello at Snatch. Would you like to see your artwork proof? I'm like, oh my God. How can we do this?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So Jeff, we had you on the podcast, was it last year? Or you were one of our first guests, I think. So it's been a little bit since we had you on.
Yeah, that was last year.
One of my favorite episodes, but how the heck have you been? What's been going on at your shop or with Stampinator? Fill us in.
Yeah, I've been great. How about you guys?
Yeah, can't complain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
So this year, or I should say last year, 2024 was, my years of screen printing and days. I'm just, inundated with printing and Stampinator and, just running in circles and doing 10,000 things. And, one of the great things this year is we at Long Beach, we announced our partnership with Stahls Hotronix. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, I'm super excited because the pressure that I had as far as, just inventory and shipping and all the things that, you have to do to run a business on top of the screen print side was a bit overwhelming. And but with all that said, this year I'm closing down the screen print side of things.
Okay.
That's big news.
Which, I'm pretty much winding down right now. I have a couple small orders to finish out, but I think it's the best thing because I want to be on the road selling. I don't want to just be a sales guy. I want to be the guy that's, I'm a solutions provider, right? I'm in your shop. I'm helping you out with, troubleshooting the areas that you have issues with. But, going back to the Stampinator, partnering with Stahls Hotronix, it's just, it's going to be a relief because now we're going to be UL compliant, CE, CSA, all the compliancy that we need for the electrical side. And the best part about this entire thing is, there's a lot of great things about it, but we'll have 110 and 220 version of all of our Stampinator products.
Yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
great. So I think even the first time that I met you, it was at Jeremy's open house for Anatol. I said to you, I'm like, why don't you just lean into Stampinator? This is to me, the overarching thing this was the path. Screen printing is great and everything like that, but Stampinator is so unique and such a game changer for the industry. To me, it was where you needed to lean in. So how did you get to that decision of going all in on this?
So, it's a great question. And look, as a screen printer, that we have some good years, we have some bad years,
Yeah, for sure.
or we're up and down. So we're just kind of running flat. But financially, I've made a decision in my life, along with my wife, that we're going to put our kids through private school education.
Yeah.
And trying to adjust to that lifestyle, to the Stampinator and screen printing. Screen printing was always a source of income. Mm-hmm. Stamp was a great source of income, but inventory is what really hurt me.
Okay.
It was financially, when you're bringing in more products and you're developing new products, and the money that you're spending on R&D, it's just it gets to be a bit overwhelming. And with the new partnership with Stahls, that's going to allow me to go out and sell stamps, focus on selling, focus on working on the other products that we have. Mm-hmm. And I feel pretty confident now that I can do that. So it's like anything else. Look, for me, when COVID kicked in, I didn't have any business at all, so I had to be creative and to go out and find that business.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Find that opportunity. I wasn't a benefit. It wasn't a benefit to me in getting or a beneficiary of getting money for COVID. I had just started my company. There was nothing out there. So I had to look for alternatives. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I just need to go out and look for some alternatives. And, I'm going to work with Aaron at Blue Ridge,
awesome.
Helping him with some of his products. So I'm super excited. I think that's where I need to be. And, I can only sling T-shirts so much. I mean, it's at the age of, look, I love printing shirts. I love being on the floor. But when I turned 48, that year I started to feel like, wow, like I go, I'll leave work and I'm physically drained. Yeah. And now when I leave work, I go home and I take like a 2-hour nap.
Well, so
it's crazy.
To be fair as well, Jeff, as we've talked about this in the past, is like hiring was not easy to find people that you could trust to be able to even just run production for you, so that you could sell a Stampinator, right? Like that was
absolutely
was a hard thing that you were going through. I mean, I think all of us go through that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But just to be able to deal with the hiring situation there. But then you were physically going 12 hours a day plus, right? Like printing.
Yeah, I mean, some days I'm 17 hours a day, and I would come home and I'm working on art, I'm working on stamp, whatever it is. But, that's in my DNA. That's how I work. I have an identical twin brother. He works the same way. We're both somewhat workaholics. But, I go back and I always look at, for me, and I always tell my wife, like I really haven't worked a day in my life because I enjoy what I do. It's like I go into work every day and we're doing something different. But, going back to what you were saying, Jeremy, about, employees, you would hire somebody and, you want to put that trust in them. So you go out on the road, you're meeting with clients and trying to look for that next opportunity. And you come back and it's just like, they didn't do anything that day. There was you had 800 T-shirts to print. So I'm not here, and you only printed 300. Like, what's the problem? And there's just no. You just it's so hard to just put faith into someone. And right now, today, unfortunately, everybody just wants to collect a paycheck. Not everybody, but a good portion of people. That's what they want. So. Mm-hmm. But
well, I think that it's awesome that you made a decision and you're going in a direction. And to me, the Stampinator, it deserves full attention because it is a great product. So tell me, your partnership with Stahls, what does that entail besides the electrical? Are you working for Stahls or just in conjunction with them, and they're just helping with the manufacturing side of it, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, so Stahls is helping with, they're going to take over all the manufacturing.
Okay.
They're going to take over, everything to make our products compliant on the electrical side.
That's awesome.
We're now basically a global company. Not that we weren't before because we were selling all over, but right now it's we have a product that is compliant to really take us to that next level. Mm-hmm. And look, when you partner with a company that's been in business for 93 years, it's pretty impressive. I mean, it's for us, they're the leaders within the heat press market, and and transfers. They started within the industry of where they, with the transfers and then built in, I guess, into the Hotronix brand. But I couldn't be more excited. I mean, it's just like right now, I'm not working the 17 hours a day. I feel like I've cut back, but I feel like everything's kind of been put on pause, but it's not. I just have a great team of people that I'm working with now instead of just me or the other two guys that work for us. We have a team of 10 that is really, it just complements everything that we're doing now, which is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, the UL certificate or the UL in the electrical side of things, like I'm from my equipment background, I know that that's like huge because like it's just basically justification in Europe, right? Like you can go sell in Europe and they won't give you any problems. Like whereas before you might have gotten a little bit of pushback because it's not being UL certified, or right? And is that how that works, or is there like
So on the certification,
CL's Canada, right?
I think it's like something CSA is Canada, CE is Europe, and there's a couple other ones I believe. But so I have a dealer in the UK, and he's like, hey, I'd pick up 20 of these units or 25, but I can't sell them because if I put your product into a shop and their shop burns down because of the stamp and it's not compliant, then I'm liable for it. So. And I get that. So, like some of the shops that were buying stamps, they would hire an outside contractor, an inspector that would come in, and it would cost them like $800 or so to get the stamp inspected. So, working with GeoKnight, all their products are compliant, but they're just not certified. And look, for me, if I want to take this to the next level, I have to have all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what else is changing on the Stampinator then? If it's just, you said UL, but then it looks white now, right? Is that version you had, right?
Yeah, so Stampinator's silver. We went with silver and black. Originally I had silver and I had a red nameplate. But one of the great things with Stahls Hotronix is, working with them, we actually, the stamp still comes in right at the 50 pounds that we were looking for. But, the Stampinator was a great product. Now the Stampinator it's unbelievable. It's a casted base platen. It won't warp or bend. Your surface is like 110% flat, right? Whereas before, we had sometimes if we had the customer that went up to like 450 degrees, they'd have to recalibrate the stamp. Now you can increase the heat to 900 if you want. The platen will not warp. So super excited about that. And then they made some changes within their the electronics for the control panel. So we don't need all the features for the stamp. We just technically need the temp and time. That's it. So super excited. Like this, it's going to be awesome. I've tested the unit since May of last year, and it's really phenomenal. And I'm working on a new product now within the Stampinator brand, similar to what we have. But I've listened to all the people out there who Jeremy have presses like yours where the carousel raises like, hey, we need to have something where we can really control it and hit it. And everyone thinks like, oh yeah, you can have that overnight, but it's like trying to figure that out when you want to make it work on every piece of equipment. Mm-hmm. It's time consuming, and I figured it out. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Nice.
That's awesome. So Jeff, are you seeing that you're selling more Stampinators to be put on presses, or are you going into transfer application now too with the Stampinator?
Well, in the world of DTF, I see it going both ways. So we have customers that have their automatic press. We're converting those to a DTF with their top cover platens that snap right onto your existing pallet. And then we look at the shops that have the manual press that has been sitting in the corner. They're breaking that out and they're using the Stampinator M to apply their transfers. When you look at your shuttle heat presses and your the one-offs where you're just the clamshell there's no air. you're looking at anywhere from 20 to maybe 30 transfers an hour, right? Now, on the shuttle, you can produce more. But when you get into running a DTF transfer on your automatic, and if all three of us are working together, we can still have a conversation and still be super productive at 480 transfers an hour.
Wow.
Plus. But what I like about it is, with everyone doing DTF, there are certain shops that they don't have enough DTF throughout the week to run DTF every day on an automatic press. So what I like to always say is block out a day, and maybe it's Wednesday. You take all your DTF transfers, maybe you have 500 or 600 you need to do. Run them for the first 2 hours of work, and then go back into your screen print.
Okay.
That 500 to 600 piece order is going to take you a couple of days in your to do that if you're running your just traditional heat presses. So I'm not saying the Stampinator, it's ideal for every transfer out on the market, but when you're doing like a sweatshirt and a standard T-shirt, it's phenomenal. If you get into things where you have buttons on the shirt and some other products, you have to make some changes with the stamp on your silicone pad that you're running.
Yeah, you have to, even with a regular heat press too. People that just jam their stuff on there and have heat lines everywhere. It drives me crazy.
Why don't you give us some things that you need to take into consideration if you're thinking about using a Stampinator for DTF? Can you kind of give us some ideas about that? Because I know that there's... Yeah. I know it's not just as simple as just sticking a shirt on your press and putting a DTF on top, right?
No, I mean, the big part is when you get a Stampinator, read the instruction manual. Nobody reads it. We have a sticker right on the side of the Stampinator, right on the side of the control panel, that tells you heat recommendations. But when it comes down to it, it's the manufacturer of the transfer. So if you're using a Ninja, Supercolor, or Stahls, or your own, what are the recommendations for it? Is it a 6-second transfer? Is it a 12-second, 14? Hot peel, cold peel, warm peel. I mean, all these things factor in. So when we run the stamp on our pads, we like to get them up to right around 120 degrees. That's with an infrared gun. You're not going to burn or your fingers off of it, but you want to absorb as much heat as you can to allow that transfer to be applied along with the pressure, and you can yield some really good results with it. One of the things I always have everyone do is do the post after you do the stamp, peel and hit it again. It just gives you that extra satisfaction, or the what am I trying to say?
Reassurance
that it's embedded into the garment. It's going to work. I mean, all the transfers we tested, we're getting anywhere from 75 to 100 washes. Now, the average person, they're going to wear that shirt maybe 25 times. They're going to get coffee stain. It's going to tear something. And it's not their favorite shirt that they're going to wear every single day, right? So, but the transfers, it's a great alternative. So I'll share a little story with you guys. It was about, I want to say back in October, the end of October, I had a company, and they were in right outside of Wichita, Kansas. El Dorado, Kansas. And Lance calls me, and he's like, hey, I need some Stampinators, and we want to, we do a ton of transfers, and we need to speed this process up. So he explained to me what he was doing, what he had, and I said, look, you need 2 stamps. It'll help you out. You're going to yield at least 3,000 to 4,000 transfers a day. And he's like, that's what I need. If you can do that, that would be amazing. And they only had I think 4 or 5 heat presses that they were heat sealing. But he says to me, listen, before you come out, I have to share something with you. And I'm like,
that's scary.
Okay. He's like, we work in a maximum security prison.
Oh.
And I'm like, all right. I said, I'm in. I said, the only thing I ask is if you can ask the warden if I can get a room there. I'd like to stay in a cell for the night.
Stop.
That I'm out there. And he's like, basically like, are you serious? I was like, I'm dead serious. Like, I will do that. Well, anyway, that did not happen.
I bet not.
But I went out, and I'm a guy that I like to ask questions. I don't hold back with people. And so I go out there the first day and I go through the process. I had to send, I had to go through all the security, and I had to be cleared before I went out as well. So I get out there, and you walk through this prison, and once you're inside, we walk outside, and there's just barbed wire fence, 3 rows deep of, it was a chain link fence, razor wire, chain link fence, razor wire, and then one more, right, all the way around. So again, a maximum security prison. The company is Impact Sports. They had 90 employees that worked for them. Uh-huh. So what was great about their program was, if you were in for 5 years, a year, or for life, you had a place where you could go and work. So you weren't just an inmate every day sitting in a jail cell. It kind of gave you that life where you could have that community of the world of screen print and interact outside, that you're not incarcerated, basically. Well, so I go in, and you're walking through, and you're looking around, and it hits you when you're walking through. I'm just like, man, like, I would never want to be behind these fences. Like, what? Yeah. What do you need to think about this before you go in. But, a lot of people that are in there, they don't think, and they're in a different world because they don't have the family. They don't have the education, whatever it is, or they've done something absolutely off the wall that they would have never done, and it happened because they snapped. And that happened with one of the guys that was in there. So we go in, and I set up their press. It was a older sportsman, and within an hour, we were running 500-600 transfers an hour, and they were all amazed. And all the inmates were just saying, hey, and it's so funny because no matter where I go, when somebody says Stampinator, they never even heard me say Stampinator, but they're like, Stampinator! So it was pretty interesting. So I'm working with them, and the one guy that I was working with, they called him, his name was Beetle. And he looked like Beetlejuice, actually, and finally I said to him, I was training him how to run the press, and I said, Beetle, I said, listen, I have to ask. I said, you seem like you're a pretty decent guy. I said, what did you do that put you in here? And he's like, I just did something I shouldn't have done. So I kind of let it go. And then the next day I said, hey, I just want to, before I was leaving, I said, I just want to thank you, for allowing me to come in here and train you guys. And it's been a pleasure. And he said, hey, I got to tell you what happened. And he told me his story. And, I was just like, it was literally because of his sister's boyfriend was beating her, and he did something he shouldn't have done, and that's what led him in there. But one of the greatest things was he was working for this company, and the money that he made, because they pay him a fair wage. I think they were making like $12 an hour, but he was in for 17 years. He paid for his daughter to go to college,
nice.
By working in a screen print shop.
Oh, wow.
So, but the crazy part is there was a guy that was he's printing shirts, and they had a pretty good operation. They had six automatic presses. I think they had maybe 40 embroidery machines, 6 head, 12 heads, like big operation, right? It was crazy on what they were doing. But this guy, he says, hey, can you come over and help me out? I said, sure. I said, what do you need? He's like, when I print, I'm having some issues where I get like a ghosting or a shadow. And he's all into it. He's like really wants to figure out what's going on with his print. And I said, all right. I said, well, before we get started, I'm Jeff. And he goes, Mark, nice to meet you. He's like, are you guys hiring? And I said, yeah, you can look us up when you get out. I said, you getting out soon? He's like, yeah, I'll be getting out. So I work with him. 20 minutes later, I walk away, and the guy says to me, he goes, oh, I see you met Mark. And I said, yeah. I said, he was asking me about a job. He's going to be getting out soon. And he's like, he's not getting out anytime soon. He's in here for life. He's like the Kansas City serial killer.
Oh my God.
I'm like, So I looked him up, and sure enough, he was like a cannibal. He would kill someone and eat their legs. It was
no.
and here I shook the guy's hand, and I was just like, I was kind of creeped out about it,
no
but
kidding.
you got to, if you're going into that environment, you're working there every day, you got to put all that stuff aside, right?
You need
Like,
to ask why you weren't allowed to spend the night there. No.
Well, I'll tell you why I didn't spend the night there, because the first day I was there, it was like mandatory, I forget what they called it, but mandatory head count. Something happened. Next day I come in and find out a guy that was which I don't understand this, right? So the one inmate was in prison for 5 years for a DWI. I think it was a DWI. And he's in a cell with a guy for life. Well, the guy in the cell for life beat the guy so bad that he split his head open, and you can only imagine what came out, right? And I'm just like, so it's like you can't let your guard down when you're in there. You're working with these people. You just need to have your head on a swivel, because somebody can snap at any time. That's why they're there, you know. So, but overall, I got to tell you, it was like one of the best experiences, and I would love to go back. It was pretty amazing, actually. A different world, but for some reason, I like weird things. Like it's just like, I don't know. There was something about it that you know what it was? I think I just enjoyed working with them, and because they wanted to learn. That's what it came down to. And some of the guys that were in there, maybe they didn't really deserve to be in there. For what the crime that they had committed. Because a lot of them, had. Because I asked, I wasn't holding back. I just really wanted to know why the hell you were in here. What'd you do that puts you behind, these chain link fences? So, But yeah, it was a good experience, actually, and they had some great people in there. And one thing I did learn was they had a guy. His name was Angel, and I'm pretty convinced he was a Hell's Angel, because he had long hair and like a biker kind of guy. But he was like their head plumber. So if there was problems within the prison, plumbing issues, or they had a guy who was an electrical guy, they would hire the inmates. They would do the work before they hire an outside service. Yeah. So they really give you things to better your life if you want to, or you can
have
be
a
that guy
purpose
who
while you're there. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I loved about Impact was the people that work for him, when they get out, they actually know a trade, and they can go get a job within a screen print shop, and work. So it was pretty cool. It was it was awesome. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to going back. If Lance ever asks me to come out, absolutely, I'd be out there in a second.
I don't know how you're going to top that this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know about you, Christy, but I've been in shops where people could probably snap at any moment. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kill screen play.
Has that happened to you before?
Right
No, nobody's eaten a leg here, so.
Well, I wasn't going to that. Well, hey, listen,
there's still time.
No, people have lost their shit though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, look, I've had it where we've hired, when we had close to right around 60 employees, we'd have. Tensions would build up between certain people for whatever reason, and I worked with a program that when people got out there, I worked with a halfway house, and I was hiring people who had just got out of prison because there was a tax benefit, and what I did like about it was, instead of them leaving work and going sitting in this house because that's what they had to do, they would stay and work overtime. So if we had overtime, they were the first ones that were like, "Hey, I'm in." Well, I had this guy that worked for me, and great guy, and I walked down one day, and he would always stand behind the dryer, and he'd have cinder blocks. He brought in a couple of cinder blocks, and he's like curling them. That's what he would do. And I never said anything. I just was like, all right, whatever,
Cool.
And, so one day, our building was 20,000 square feet, and my office overlooked the entire thing. It was up. I had all glass windows, like double-sided glass windows, so all are wrapped around the office. And I see him smoking a cigarette. So I walked down one day and I said, Rob, I said, is everything good? And he's like, yeah, everything's good. I said, well, look, if you want to take a smoke break, I'm all for it, but you can't do it inside the building. And he looked at me and he basically told me, to F off. And I said, look, Rob, I said, obviously you're having a bad day. I said, just take the rest of the day off and I'll pay you for it. I said, just, you need to relax. Well, he got in my face and he came up and he gave me a chest bump. And I'm like, bad, thinking, bad move, man, bad move. Because I was just like, I looked at my receiving guy. I said, Jim, call the police. And the guy comes back over to me, and he grabs me. And I just remember grabbing him, taking him down to the ground. And I'm like, look, the police are going to come. You're out of control. You want to go back to jail? Like, this can end right now. Like, just stop. Well, he ended up leaving, and I had to fire him. I couldn't. I couldn't keep him. And but after that day, every person that I would hire, I made sure that they weren't bigger than me. It was because of those issues. Like you just never know. And then in today's world, you don't know if they have a knife or a gun on them. I mean, it's crazy. So it's just, you got to be careful on how you handle things with people today, because, people are just, I don't know. It's a different world that we live in.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a couple more things I wanted to touch in on the Stampinator. I know we had fun.
I'm
there
interested
for a second,
in the transition here.
The transition, I know. So you did say, it went in a different place than I was expecting it to, for sure. But
hey, this episode's sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts.
All right. and the Masters. So, so the question I had, because of the stamping of the DTFs, is I know that you can't just, tell me if I'm wrong, but you can't just stamp on a platen, right? Or do you need a rubber pad in there, like a heat press, or do you need anything additional to do that? Or are we straight up pressing on a platen?
Yeah, so, that's a great question, because I feel like we educate every sales guy out there that sells a stamp, but you absolutely need the sponge rubber on top of your press. Okay. We have some people out there like, oh, you're selling your top cover pallets for $250. Well, look, you can go to Amazon, you can go anywhere and buy the rubber. It's up to you, but it's not going to work. Like, we've tested like 7 to 9 sheets of rubber to figure this out, because we're running at a different pace than what everyone else is running. You can buy the cheap rubber and stamp it at 14 seconds or 12 seconds. Yeah, it'll work every time. But when you want to use 2 stamps, if you have a product that it's calling for 12 seconds, you can hit with one stamp for 6, peel it, and hit the other one for 6. You need a silicone-based sponge rubber that's going to allow to hold that heat to make that happen. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, you do need the top cover pallets for your press.
And do you see people buying full press? Like, so if there's a 14-station press that they're doing, that's all they have? They're buying 14 sheets of rubber, or are they only doing it on one? Or what's your typical? Yeah,
most people they'll buy all 14. I always recommend, just do every other one to start. You don't need to, you don't have to worry about, the stamp can still hit your pallet. Doesn't matter. Yeah. And just do every other one. But when you look at, your return on your investment, you're going to get that back in like a week, with the numbers that you can produce with a transfer.
Yeah, I saw where companies are coming out with now actual presses that are only for DTFs. So yeah, you got any plans for that? Am I getting into something you might not want to talk about?
We have some secret things.
Okay.
We have some products in our arsenal that we're going to break out. It's been interesting. I feel like in the screen print world of when I go to trade shows, you don't see anything really new out there on the market. It's always pretty much the same old products. Now, the carousel that everyone's running, there's MEM who's had the carousel now for a few years. I don't know how long it's been out. I haven't really done much research on their products, but sometimes I like to think that my top cover palettes on the automatic is what maybe made people think about building a carousel.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case, but Rocksure has invested a lot of time and money into theirs, and they have the Impress, which is a great unit. But for me, my target isn't just the DTF guy. My target is the screen printer who wants to get into DTF, and he has maybe one or more automatics, and he can convert that into a high output inline heat press machine. That's what I'm selling. And I don't think screen printing is going to go away. I think there's always going to be a need for screen printing, but I also think that DTF is here to stay, and it's an alternative for what we're doing on our pricing on lower quantities. So if you have that customer that wants 48 pieces and it's 7 colors, hey, you know what? It's more cost effective to run a DTF transfer than a screen print.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think people 2 years ago may have bought another press or anything like that, and you're just not getting as many screen printing jobs because direct to film is so good anymore. So you still have a loan on these presses, convert it, still use it with your product. It's a wise solution,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because basically you're taking your machine, you're taking a press that you have in shop, and you're turning it into an inline heat press. You could, like you said before, Jeff, eliminate a dryer if you wanted to. You can definitely eliminate a flash. And you're also turning it into a heat press machine with, a rotary heat press machine for bulk DTFs. And then you're also doing anything like retagging shirts on that. You're turning it into basically a tag machine as well. I mean, you're basically upgrading your machine with one piece of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll run 3,000 shirts, and instead of doing a screen print neck label, I just do a transfer. I put the sponge rubber pad on a sleeve pallet. I cut it out by it's like 4 by 3.5, I think. The shirt slips right over it, tucks on there. The transfer lays on top. And one of the things, I want to touch base on that, we're running sometimes 600 transfers an hour. We're hitting them for 3 seconds on the neck label. And one of the questions I always get is, how come the transfer is not blowing off when it rotates? Well, when we're running at those speeds, a lot of the presses, you can slow down the index or so it's not going to spin as fast. But what I like to do is use, it's K100. It's an embroidery spray that you use for tackle twill. So if you have like an overspray and you go to heat press it, the tackiness dissipates from the heat. It's a great product. We just spray the top corner of where we're laying the transfer on the shirt, so it holds it down. So if you're going, in a clockwise position, you're going to spray to the top left. So as it cycles, it's holding that transfer down. You don't need much. You just need like maybe a dime size or a quarter size spray. And that's how we're able to run transfers a lot faster. I'll go into shops and people are, they're like, well, we're not using the K100 because it's kind of pricey. And I'm watching them with tape. They're taping each transfer. And I'm like, you're wasting so much time. Yeah. The labor, you're putting, 2 pieces at the top, 2 pieces at the bottom.
It's terrible. Yeah.
I'm like, this, you might as well just go back to your traditional heat press. Like this, you're defeating the purpose of what you just spent your money on. So one of the things, that's one of the things that I'm trying to work on now and figure out, like, what's an alternative to a spray that's going to hold down the transfer? Because when you look at your traditional screen print transfers where it has the powder, they're nice because they stick right onto the garment. But when you get into a DTF and you have that orange peel, it's kind of smooth. Sometimes it doesn't want to bond to the shirt. Yeah. So we've been testing it with using water. So we'll just spray a little bit of water, and the water on the Mylar actually to the shirt. It holds it down. That's a good idea too. And that works really well. Yep. So water is, you pay for it to a certain extent, but it's pretty much free versus your aerosol can.
Cool. I think that's a great tip.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we do a little Stampinator Mythbusters here?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Myth number one: the Stampinator is only for rock machines.
Yeah, that is a myth. You know, I got to tell you, I wish I would have worked a little bit better on my marketing to educate, you know, the MNR, the Anatol, the Workhorse, the TOS, the MHM, everyone else out there. The stamp works on every press out there on the market. But I will tell you, and this is where I'm definitely thankful and grateful for Rock, because they have been so supportive of the Stampinator. I would not be where I'm at without them. You know, they believed in it. They know it's a great tool that really helps, you know, with your prints within the industry, and they pushed it. So it is definitely a myth. It works on every press out there on the market. It's hard to get in with the other manufacturers of equipment. You know, I'd love to work with them direct, but I can't. So, you know, hopefully this year we can make a difference and get in with some of the manufacturers. But I want to work with shops like yours, Jeremy, where, you know, we work something out where I'm in there and I'm working on your press and making video and educate people and getting it out there. And then maybe you're like, you know, like a partner within that of selling Stampinators on Anatol. Those are the things I have to work better at this year to just educate people that it is not just for a rock press.
Yeah, and I think that's allows you with the transition of your shop. It allows you to do that, like spend way more time on customer service on that side of things, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Where you'd be able to dive into it more and more, educate more. So I do want to get on that. I mean, I'll go on a side tangent with just the education because I know you did the stamp class last year.
Yeah, we're bringing them back.
I was going to say, are you bringing those back too? Yeah,
absolutely. You know, it's first of all, they're a lot of fun. You meet a lot of new people, and you meet people that really need that education. You know, like everyone thinks like, oh yeah, he's making, you know, it's another outlet of making money. Like for me, I don't make any money off of a class. My class, you come out to my class, you know, I have 4 or 5 people that I bring in. I have to pay them. You get fed well. You have amazing food, right? Then in the evening, we'll do like a little mixer, right? So we'll have a cocktail bar or whatever you want. I mean, I want everyone to leave with an experience. And, you know, when you come out to the class, it just covers the cost of me bringing in the right people to help educate you within the printing steps and processes. And that to me it's important. So if, you know, one of the great things about it is, you know, I always give everyone my cell number. I mean, call me. If you have any questions and you need help with art or on press, whatever it is, I am here to help you. I will tell you, when I tell everyone, like, you know, we have, you know, I don't know, I have like, I don't know how many customers we have now, but let's just say, you know, we're over 600. But I have 600 friends out there that I talk to that just aren't, you know, just because they own a Stampinator, we don't talk Stampinator. We just talk. Like I have a good relationship with everyone.
Excuse me.
And bless you. And I think that's important. You know, that's what I just enjoy helping people because I love the business so much because, as you guys know, free ride fuckware is what got me started in this industry.
Yes, I know. We were hoping you would say that.
Yeah.
At least I was.
I was waiting for the design of the day.
So, but all right, myth number 2. All right, so you squashed.
Where'd you get these myths from?
Because it's questions people ask me about the Stampinator. So so it's and to your credit, I think you admitted to, you know, you could do way better on the promoting it for other machines and all of that, and I think customer service is going to step up in 2025 for sure. One of the other things that I've got is that it plugs directly into your press.
Yes, so that is not a myth, but it really depends on what press you have. If you have a rock press, you can wire it to plug in where the flash is. If you have any press that has an outlet, that allows your flash to plug into electrically, yes, you can connect the stamp right to the press. But the press does not operate the stamp. The stamp is a plug-and-play unit, and it works off of your press. So if your head comes down, that's what engages the springs on the stamp. If your press rotates and comes up, well, they all rotate, but if your carousel comes up, then it puts pressure on the underneath of the stamp.
And honestly, really the only machine that comes down right now is the MN, is it the MN, not the, what is it, the Rock, and then there's the MHM, right? Does that one come
So
down?
you have the Rock, the MHM, you have the Cobra, MNR.
The Workhorse did. Workhorse.
And the Gauntlet.
Yeah.
The Gauntlet does come down. Okay.
Yeah, well, the Workhorse, it's like the Sportsman and the Anatol, they raise up. So the pallets raise up as it rotates.
Yeah. But then like the Anatols, they come up, the actual Platins come up to it. Yeah.
Yep, same thing.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it helps with adjustments too. If you had the Rock is easier to adjust because it is always constantly coming down to the actual Platin, right? Is that true or no?
So on the
I know
Eco,
I'm getting technical now. Sorry.
so like on the Eco and the Nex on the Rocks, you can actually Rock will program Stampinator, so you can allow that. You can hit it for 1.5 seconds up to 30 seconds if you want. Depending on how long you want that head to stay down. So when you're running like the Sportsman or the Anatol, that kind of is dictated by your squeegee speed or your flash time or your dwell time. So your press will stay raised until whatever that setting is for it to come down. So it's most people when they double stroke, the press isn't up more than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. What's your next myth, Jeremy?
Those were the two major ones. I think he squashed the other one with the problem with the 110 versus the 240 because I think a lot of people run into that. I think it's important to say that it is a separate piece of equipment that if you do not have electrical at your press, you have to do a drop or get electrical to it. That's knowledge up front before you buy this, right? Like you need to know those things. The fact that it's not directly connecting to the machine on a lot of machines, the Rocks it does, and that's a testament to them, working with you right when you first got started. You talked about that a little bit and how beneficial that was to you. So they grew around you. So that's awesome. I would love to see more companies adapt Stampinator into it. And I feel like you're in a place now where Stahls is kind of it's a recognized brand that is not necessarily a press brand. And I think that that's going to work hugely in your favor.
Absolutely.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, look, their marketing team is unbelievable. And, Stahls doesn't sell direct. They sell through their dealers. So that's another great benefit. Stahls is allowing me to be a dealer and sell, the product as well. So it's super exciting. I think, what we should do extremely well this year. But one thing I will tell you is what I've noticed is, I have a lot of big companies now are starting to buy the Stampinator. So, which, it's been tough trying to get into them. And now they're like, there's the one that these guys from, the guys from Sunday Cool. Have you ever heard of those guys?
Oh, yeah.
They're friends with Jeremy.
I've been to their shop, man.
I listen to their podcast. They're like great. They're so awesome. They're like cool. They are cool. They're not just Sunday cool. They're like 7 days a week cool, right?
No, they are absolutely. They have the huge
awesome.
social media presence for sure.
Yeah. And it's just like they don't even talk about screen print on the podcast, really, right? It's just like they talk about shit that I'm into, like aliens and
right.
But it's just like when you. When I saw an order come through for them, and this was like the other day, and I called them, and I'm like, dude, you guys that's awesome. Like, I'll come down, and, if you need anything, let me know. But it's pretty awesome, for them to purchase a stamp, and I'm super excited. And I said, look, I can ship you the one I have now, or you guys can wait for the Stahls brand, because that will be the Stahls brand is launching. We launched it, but the product will be available in April, which will be really nice.
Yeah.
No, and I think we're going to work out something like if people want to do an upgrade or an exchange, we're gonna figure that out and with Stahls and have that in place for everyone. So, or if they want to get a second one, we'll do something for them. But it'll be fantastic. But yeah, Sunday Cool, man, those guys they're on a whole different level. You know what amazes me? If you place an order with them, you get it in 72 hours. That's just. That's awesome.
And when you go down there, we're going to have Austin on the show at the end of the week. And he worked for Sunday Cool, helped them get going. So he's going to, hopefully he'll talk a lot about that. But if you get a chance to go down there, you have to go. They don't have one facility. They have an entire block of facilities.
Oh, wow.
They own the block. So that you can walk down the road to their other buildings. It's insane.
That's pretty awesome.
Really, really cool. And they're only 9 or 10 years old. They started same time as Christy and I started. They're not very.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive to see what they've done. And they run 100% water base, and there's 72-hour turnaround in Orlando with the doors wide open. Blows my mind the stuff they're doing. So yeah, absolutely pretty cool. So I'm excited for you. Get down there.
Yeah, I can't wait to go down and just check out their shop. I hear so many good things about them, and that's why I love this industry, because you meet people that are doing things that you wouldn't even think of. I mean, just their turnaround time. It just blows my mind. It's awesome, but at the same time, that's got to be a lot of pressure on the team to honor that turn time. But still pretty awesome.
You got to be well organized, well-oiled machine for sure.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I wanted to talk to you about was, while we were talking about the stamp, low cures and your standard cure inks with the stamp. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is, on the side of the Stampinator, we have recommended settings for the temp for the ink, and ideally you want to set the temp on the stamp to the manufacturer's recommendations on their ink where they cure. So on your 330s, you're going to set the stamp anywhere from 320 to 335, depending on how long you're hitting it for. And when you get into your low cures, they're usually at 275 to 280, 285. But one thing that, on the low cures, I love the low cure inks. They don't work that well when you're doing a sim process, but what we've been doing is I've been taking I want to start with the Monarch and start testing with theirs, but I've taken the Chill series from Rutland, and I've been basing out the ink with soft hand and printing some really cool sim process with it, running through a 156 underbase to a 230 and 305 on top, and we're getting some really good results and still being able to hit it at the 275. But one of the things I found was when we add soft hand to our inks, whether you're using the stamp or not, just your flash, we're not getting any tack on the back of the screen. So even though you're printing, sometimes the colors are they're dry. If you print your white and then we'll go to print our next couple of colors, the ink wants to stick to the white base.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So by adding base, it works out. Soft hand, it works out really well. We're getting some really good results, and Aaron and I were talking as well with a couple of other alternatives that we're going to test and see how it works. But it's when I think of the stamp and I think of what you're printing, you really need to dial in your stamp for the inks that you're using. Because I walk into some shops and they have Rutland, they have Union, they have One Stroke, they have what's the other one? International Coatings, and I'm just like, wow, you guys are using so many different inks, and then you have the guy that he mixes whatever he wants, together. So, but it's always important to set the stamp at the right temp for the ink that you're using.
So, what percentage of soft hand are you putting in the ink?
So, usually when we mix inks, we'll do a quart, we'll do 3/4 of a quart of ink and then a quarter of soft hand for the remaining. So, we're gonna put together like some solid numbers on what it is when you're mixing. A lot of people are running a scale. So one thing I've noticed, if you add a little bit extra to it, it doesn't really make much of a difference, but you just have more control over it. So when you're printing and flashing, a lot of times, especially in the summertime, and we're running a low cure, and we'll flash. If we're running like a 230 or 305 mesh, all of a sudden you'll start to see that the ink's starting to dry up in some of those halftones that you have. Mm-hmm. And it's not from the flash. It's from the palette, where it's just heating up. And it starts to, when that palette comes up with the garment, it starts to, it just wants to start to curing the ink within the screen. So for us, a lot of times we'll do like a 3-second delay, and then I'll have a fan right after the flash that just blows onto the garment, and that really helps out. So, but yeah, just some things, I just want to throw out there when it comes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's important. Absolutely important. I think I love the idea of you doing another Stampinator class, and I think this is where you could tackle a lot of stuff, but I'm looking also forward to you having the time to do all the videos as well and just really dive into that more. That's
absolutely.
He needs more Jeff in his life.
We need to definitely set that up so we can have it here.
Right.
We're thinking about doing ink and ink class or ink and ink setup here in spring. We might have to do a national Stampinator regional class too or something. We'll have to...
I would love to do that. And one of the things. So I started a podcast, Stampinator Live. So we have stampinatorlive.com, and one of the things, we have a segment where it's Stampinator Hot Tips, Stampinator Hot Tips. We have it's pretty good, right? And then I come out and I give you like one tip of the day, right? Yeah. So it's just like, it's something so stupid, but a lot of people are like, dude, that is like something like we never even thought of. Yeah. And the one I did was, and I've talked about it a few times, you get a pinhole on the back of the screen, and I'll go in the shops and I'll hear a guy, hey, Fred. He's Tim's under the press, and he's calling for Fred to come over to look for the pinhole and point it out. Well, just print the shirt, and you see the pinhole, take your Scotch tape, flip it over, put the sticky side up, lay it on top of the pinhole, print the shirt, now your pinhole's gone, right? Like, everybody wants to get down on their hands and knees and look up and try to see that little speck of light come through. So I didn't realize how many people out there weren't doing this. Nobody knew about it. They're just like,
I've sat on the floor many a time.
So that's one of the segments that we do, and then the other one that we're working on is we're just going to do like, maybe we're thinking this year we'll start off like we'll do 4 a year, and we're going to go on the road, and we're just going to stop into random screen print shops and film and talk about it. And, hopefully some people tell us to get the hell out, and then some people tell us to come in. We don't know what's going to happen, but it would, awesome. I think it'll be pretty cool. And, everyone in this industry, everybody's so cool. I haven't met anyone who is top secret anymore. Well, there are some people out there, but they're still open to talk to you and, have a good conversation. So
I love that.
But I want to have fun with it, and whether you have a Stampinator or not, I want to help you. I want to help. I was talking to a guy on Saturday yesterday, and he just got into the screen printing business, and he was struggling with pricing. So I had some pricing metrics that I already had, and I sent them over to him, and he was just like, "Man, you have no idea what this is going to do for me." And I said, "Oh, I do." I said, I do. Now you can't be angry with yourself. If you sell a shirt for less than what's on this price list, sell it what's on there so you know that you're making money. And so many people out there just don't have that. They think, hey, I'm going to burn some screens, I'm going to order in some shirts, and I'm going to charge you maybe $10 a shirt. They don't know what their costs are, the breakdown, the whole thing. And sometimes that can really hurt you within this business.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jeff, where can people find what was it, Stampinator Live?
Yeah, so
so
Stampinator Live, we just did our third episode, so we haven't launched any on the site yet. We're going to have them. They'll come out in the middle of the month, but you can go to stampinatorlive.com and we'll have everything posted on there. Cool. So, yeah, I'm excited. You know, it's going to be fun. So hopefully, you know, we'll get something out of it. But I really want more of like the educational for people. And I don't want to just, you know, Stampinator Live, it's not really talking about Stampinator and screen print. We kind of just talk about life, you know, within the industry and what we're doing, because I talk to so many people they're just like me. They're working, you know, till 11 o'clock at night. They go in at 7 and they might go home, take a break, and they go back to the shop. And it's just like, you know, what can we do? I've been there, you know, what can you do to change that life? You know, there's something there, and, you know, you just got to figure out what's keeping you from living your normal life outside of the daily world of screen printing. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Well,
Jeff,
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, we're all excited for you for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
So congratulations, right?
Yeah, it is. It's once again.
Congratulations on getting out. Getting out.
Moving on.
Well, you know, I'm not selling the equipment, but I will tell you, I'm holding on. But I will tell you, you know, I still sometimes I'll say to my wife, I'm like, hey, Paula, you know, is this a dream? Like, did this really just happen with Stahls? Like, I mean, this company, you know, Stahls is at a whole different level than me, and like, it's so humbling and awesome knowing that somebody believes in your product and it wants to help, you know, get it out there even on a bigger scale. So, super grateful for that. Like, I can't wait to see what 2025 brings.
Yeah, only good things.
Only good things. Absolutely.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being on the show today. Yeah, congratulations again for your partnership with Stahls.
Yeah, thank you.
Much congratulations there. So that's pretty awesome.
And we're really excited for the future. And yeah, it's going to be great, man. You're welcome anytime on the show, and we're happy to help you out in any way we can, brother.
Yeah, all right. I love that. Appreciate that. And let's do another open house at your place.
We have that in the works. So you will be first on the list. And this one's going to be awesome because we met a tattoo artist. So we're going to have a tattoo artist there too.
That's awesome because I've been wanting to get Stampinator on my arm.
Yeah, we got you.
And my wife is like, oh, I don't want you getting any more tattoos. And I'm just like, I said, look, you know, I want a full sleeve. Just with my life of printing, you know, everything, right? It would just just a Stampinator, some T-shirts, and like some cool designs, and just you know, and my wife's just like, I just don't, you know, why do you need to get all the, you know, and here, you know, my identical twin brother, he's got like sleeves on both arms, and you know, it's, but I like that. I would love to get a tattoo. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. So stay tuned for that. We'll send you an Evite whenever we get the date finalized, but that's in the works for us.
Awesome.
All right, Jeremy,
all right, man.
you good?
Yeah, we're good. Let's head out of here. Cheers to Stampinator. Cheers to everyone out there watching. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks,
guys.